Distraction is proud to be sponsored by Omega Bright, the premier natural advanced omega-3 formula for mind, heart, and joint health. And Talkspace, the online therapy company that believes that therapy should be affordable, confidential, and convenient. For a special offer, visit Talkspace.com/distraction. Hello, this is Dr. Ned Hallowell for the podcast Distraction, here with one of our mini podcasts. These have become very popular because everyone's in a hurry, and you can listen to this mini in just a few minutes. The topic that I want to address with you in this mini is what to do when a project you're involved in lags and you lose enthusiasm. What to do when you're working on something in business, in whatever it might happen to be, your garden, the boat you want to build. In my case, the example that comes instantly to mind is a book that I'm writing, since I'm now working on book number 20 and book number 21 simultaneously. It almost always happens when I'm writing a book, even though I've written a lot of them. Almost invariably, the time will come when I think this book is just terrible. Why did I ever start writing it? This is the dumbest book. No one's going to want to read it. Why did I ever embark on it? How am I ever going to get myself out of it? I'm under contract. I have a due date. I have to finish this terrible thing that I started. I'm 2/3 of the way through it, and it's all awful. And it's a terribly upsetting feeling. And I bet you just about every single one of you can identify with it. Some project that you're involved in that is important. It's not like you're, watching a movie, you can just leave the movie. It's something that you've committed to, that you've committed time, money, emotional investment, what have you. And you just think this is going to hell and I want to get out of it. And it's depressing because you really can't. I mean, you could, but the cost would be high. So what do you do? What do you do when you're engaged in some kind of project and you just have this terrible feeling that you're slogging along through the valley of despair and it just feels hopeless? Well, number one suggestion is to recognize it. I've gotten good at that because it's happened so often, but to recognize that this is part of the creative process. This is part of building pretty much anything from a business to a book to a recipe. This is part of the creative process. You suddenly decide that the whole thing just isn't worth it. So don't let it throw you. Recognize this is really part and parcel of getting to your goal. And it's sort of ironic that part of reaching your goal, part of completing the task, part of reaching the place you want to be is at some point wanting to abandon it, wanting to, just give it up. So there you go. You recognize it, and that this just happens. So next suggestion, don't force it. Don't sit down and say, I've got to write. If I write when I'm forcing it, it comes out terrible. Now, one of my heroes, Samuel Johnson, said any man can write if he'll set himself doggedly enough to it. It's one of the rare times I disagree with Johnson. Setting yourself doggedly to the creative process is usually not a great remedy. Don't force it. Instead, have some other project you can also go to. Just said I'm working on 2 books now. So, but if it's a business, have some other project that you can invest that energy in. What that does is it gives you your mind a kind of a rest. You get you let your unconscious kind of replenish itself, and that really is what this slough of despond, if you will, is all about. It's about your unconscious running dry, and so you need to give it a rest. You need to let it replenish itself, and the way to do that is to turn your mind to something else. Get involved in some other project. You're not abandoning whatever it is you're working on. You're simply taking a break from it and putting that creative juice into something else. And another important suggestion is to get input from other people. Say to other people, I'm having a tough time with this project. What do you suggest? Most of the time, others will have good suggestions, or they'll simply offer you encouragement. And if you're anything like me, within a matter of days, sometimes weeks, you'll be ready to jump back into the project with a whole new set of creative juices. Well, I hope that's been useful for you. This is Dr. Ned Hallowell with the mini podcast for Distraction. Remember to check out our sponsors, Omega Bright, the 100% natural and advanced omega-3 formula. To order, go to Omega Bright, that's OMEGABRITE.com, or call 1-800-383-2030. That's 1-800-383-2030. And Talkspace, the online therapy company that believes that therapy should be affordable, confidential, and convenient. Join over 500,000 people who have used Talkspace for online therapy with their licensed personal therapist. For a special offer, visit Talkspace.com/distraction. That's Talkspace.com/distraction. You can also go to our website, distractionpodcast.com, and click on the Omega Bright and Talkspace logos. Distraction is produced by Collisions, the podcast division of CRN International. Collisions, podcasts for curious people. Our music was created by Mark Berman. Our audio engineer is Scott Person, and our producer is Sarah Gurton.